Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at another new exciting card from the upcoming Ultra Prism set. It is Weavile. Now, this was revealed officially. It has been translated by the lovely Autobot Tester on Twitter. Check them out, they do brilliant artwork commissions. So do make sure you go and have a gander. Now, it's a promo card, but as you can see by the writing on the card, this is actually one of the booster box promos. In Japan, they actually do their big sets as two sets. So Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon are two separate sets in Japan, which are being combined into one Ultra Prism set over here. And this is the promo you get for buying a box, because in Japan, if you buy a box of Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon, you get a promo card depending on which box you buy. And I like this Weavile, ladies and gentlemen. I like it a lot. Now, being a Darkness Pokemon means you're really not hitting much for weakness, but you will be getting Lunala, so that's good. The fact that you've got a resistance to Psychic is nice with Garboda running around, but then of course you've got 90 HP, so don't get too excited about resistance. I am worried about the weakness here, because the weakness to fighting is really bad for Buzzwole, because Buzzwole does 30 damage for 1 energy plus 30 to the bench, but with just a strong energy, that goes up to 50 to the active, which is already enough to KO Weavile with weakness, so a really big weakness to Buzzwole here, which could be an issue. Retreat of 1 is nice because of the whole, well, all your attacks cost 1 energy, so it's nice to be able to retreat for the same amount of energy. First attack is not terribly inspiring. 1 colourless energy, so I suppose it can be teched into any deck you like. 10 damage plus sleep. It's not particularly great. Sleep means your opponent cannot attack or retreat. Flip a coin between turns. If heads, they wake up. The thing is that after you put them to sleep, they've got a 50% chance of waking up before they actually get to their turn. So there's only a 1 in 2 chance, only half of the time, are they actually going to be asleep when it gets to their turn. If this did a whole bunch of damage, maybe. I suppose the one thing we can say here, this can buy you a turn. Sometimes you're going to hit the sleep and they're not going to wake up, and you're going to get a turn or two where your opponent can't do anything. They can't use, say, a Floatstone to retreat when they're asleep. They've got to use something like a Guzma or an Ace Roller. So maybe they don't wake up, maybe you can get them, but it really is just a little bit, maybe it'll work, but I'm not buying it. The far more exciting attack, 1 Darkness Energy, 50 damage times the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play that have abilities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we're talking. If they've got 3 Pokemon with abilities in play, you're doing 150, and a Choice Band, you're now doing 180 and getting a KO on something like a Drampa. If they've got 4 Pokemon in play, you're now doing 200 damage, 4 Pokemon with abilities, KOing stuff like an Espeon. You whack a Choice Band on there, you're doing 230. That gets stuff like Golisopod. And if they've got 5 Pokemon with abilities in play, you're actually getting a 1-hit KO against something with 250 HP, like, for instance, a Metagross, for a single energy. And although it has to be a Darkness Energy here, you could, for instance, just play Rainbow Energy. Or indeed, because it's a non-GX, you could play Counter Energy. I'm not a huge fan, to be perfectly honest, of playing Counter Energy in this, because you can just use Rainbow Energy. But it is an option, ladies and gentlemen, that you have nonetheless. And I like it. This attack has the potential to be phenomenal. Now, as always, this is a kind of attack that really relies on what your opponent does. If your opponent chooses not to play Pokemon that have abilities, that is an issue, because then you're not doing much damage. It is up to your opponent how much damage you do. But let's face it, everyone's playing Tapu Lele at the moment. Tapu Lele is the best Pokemon card around at the moment, and I don't think there's much controversy in that statement. I don't think there's much argument. I think it's just Tapu Lele is the best Pokemon card in the format at the moment. No ifs, buts or maybes. And that has an ability. So there's 50 damage right off the bat. Then, of course, a lot of people are playing cards like Oranguru, Octillery, Zoroark, because they're really good draw support. They get you more cards, which is needed in the Pokemon trading card game. More cards is a good thing. So a lot of decks are naturally going to have 2 to 3 Pokemon in play that have abilities, which means you're hitting 100, 150 damage for a single energy. But when this gets really exciting is if we have a look at some of the main decks in the format at the moment and see, hang on a second, this could really get a lot of traction. Now, I put it at number 2 in my top 10 decks for London, link in the description, but a lot of people are saying that the best deck in the format right now is Gardevoir. Well, let's take a look at the Pokemon in Gardevoir. You've got Eevee that evolves into Sylveon. Okay, that's going to evolve quite quickly, but regardless, that's got an ability. Then you've got Gardevoir ability, Gallade ability, Octillery ability. Gardevoir decks very often will have 3 or 4 Pokemon in play with an ability, and if they've got 4 Pokemon in play with an ability, Resistance will absolutely crush you because you'll be hitting 230 with a choice band, but then their Resistance means you'll only actually be hitting 210. You won't get a KO without something like a Professor Kukui, which is very upsetting. But if they play 5 Pokemon with abilities, then you're getting a one-hit KO even through Resistance. Take something like Vikavolt Tapu Bulu. They've usually got a Vikavolt in play, and they've usually got an Octillery or an Oranguru in play, which means one more Pokemon with an ability in play, like, I don't know, a Tapu Lele like everybody plays, with a choice band, you're getting a one-hit KO. The one real deck you might struggle with here is Garbodor Drampa, which really does not rely on abilities outside of Tapu Lele. And of course, Garbodor that shuts off abilities. But even then, you might be doing 100 for a single energy. I can think of worse attacks, ladies and gentlemen, than 100 for one energy on a stage 1 single prize Pokemon. And the good news is here that we actually have a Weavile with which we can combine this. We've got the Weavile from Burning Shadows, and what I love about this, it's another thing that relies on abilities. So new Weavile does 50 damage to the active for every Pokemon with an ability that your opponent has in play. Whereas the Burning Shadows Weavile does 60 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. You can really punish these Pokemon with abilities here. And they're both stage 1s and they both have the same evolution line. Now again, you can only play 4 Weavile in your deck, so you'll have to choose. But certainly, you could combine the 2 of these, and maybe you play it with something like the non-GX Zoroark to give you a nice non-GX attacker. Maybe you play it with Weavile to give yourself a nice starting Pokemon. Or maybe you play it with anything and Rainbow Energy. Maybe you play Weavile Golisopod. I mean, people are playing Garbodor Golisopod. We got 2 Pokemon here that have really good attacks that are stage 1s. You can play Rainbow Energy. These are very adaptable cards. I don't think this Weavile is going to see a huge amount of play in everything. But I love the fact that it's a stage 1. It can work with Rainbow Energy, so a single energy. And if you drop it at the right time, you can either smash your opponent's Pokemon and take big KOs with a non-GX single prize 1 energy Pokemon, or you're going to stop your opponent evolving. So maybe your opponent looks at you and goes, oh, I really want to put my Oranguru into play, but that puts my Tapu Bulu in range of Weavile, so for the time being, I'm going to have to not put it into play. And as I've said on this videos, in my podcast, many times before, if your opponent is deliberately not playing Pokemon they want to stop you doing what you want to, that is a win for you, because your opponent is slowing down their own game to try and hurt you. And that is a very awkward thing for them to do. There is still the big downside that it's up to your opponent how many Pokemon abilities they have out. But the fact that you can do such big damage for such little energy, and the fact that it combines so beautifully with the Burning Shadows Weavile, has got to make this worth a look. I'm going to give it between 3 and 4 wassies. We don't give half wassies. That would be barbaric. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this second attack here is so situationally good that I could be proven very wrong, and this could be a 1-1 or 2-2 and a whole bunch of decks playing Rainbow Energy. I'm just not ready to sit here today and say it's going to be an amazing tech, but I am willing to sit here and say I fully expect people to use this Pokemon and do well with it. But as always, I would love to know what you think about Weavile. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think it's going to be a good tech in some decks? Do you think it's too situational? How much play do you think it's going to see? Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.